Welcome to Geppe's Pod, where we talk fashion, beauty, and lifestyle with a foundation in leadership. We will be learning from industry leaders, hearing their stories, while taking action as we stand on the shoulders of giants. Hi, everyone. My name is Geppe Almeida, and I am the founder and CEO of Perfit. And I have Keenyah as a guest today, and I am so excited. Keenyah started her modeling career on America's Next Top Model Cycle Forward and has now become a pose coach and model mentor. She has graced the runways in Paris, Milan, New York, and London, and has been published in Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Marie Claire, Rolling Stone, and W Magazine. She is currently modeling and showing aspiring models how to pose in front of the camera, build confidence, and get signed by modeling agencies. Keenyah, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this.
I am so excited. You know, as I was reading in prepping for today, I read your your bio, and I was amazed. I'm like, how in the world am I so graced to be on a podcast with you? Like, your resume is absolutely insane.
Thank you.
It's inspiring. So I have to ask, what inspired you to start modeling, and what was the catalyst that made you just go for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. People think that this wouldn't really happen, but I was bullied really badly, like in middle school and in the beginning of high school.
Mhm.
And it kind of, I started to really admire supermodels, not even fashion. I was just super into women on the runway who were like so confident, gave you, goosebumps when you watch them walk. And I just was obsessed with the idea of supermodels. And then I turned out to be 5'11" and be really thin. And I was like, oh, I can do this. And my mom also was like telling me from birth, like, oh, you're going to be a model. You're going to be a model. She saw it. She knew it.
For sure.
And then when America's Next Top Model came out, I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance, because I had no idea how to get started otherwise.
Mhm.
And so I auditioned for America's Next Top Model twice, actually. My freshman year of college, I sent in a videotape on a VHS. Okay. I'm old. And so I sent that in and no response. And then that summer, saw a commercial for the in-person auditions in LA. And that's where I was living at the time. And there were thousands and thousands of girls. And because every girl in LA thinks that she's a model.
Yeah,
and so I auditioned, and by the end of it, we were there literally all day, and they were just chopping and eliminating girls as they were going. And the way there was something about the way that one of the casting directors, Michelle Mock, the way she looked at me before I left, and it was just like a look of like, yeah, like, you got this. So I was super excited, and then did the show, and the rest is history.
That's amazing. And I get it, because your face structure is ridiculous. So 100%, like, great on you. But through the show, what were the ups and downs and the hurdles that you had to go through that really, I guess, shaped your modeling career after that?
Wow, that's amazing questions. You're asking really great questions, buddy. Yeah, because I do these interviews all the time, and so when I get asked like really interesting questions, I love it. And so the hurdles that I kind of had on the show, for one, I was super hyped and pumped to just be there. So my perspective of everything was so different. I respected modeling. I respected Tyra. I respected just that form of self-expression of getting in front of the camera and becoming a whole new person.
Oh, for sure.
And so I really didn't have many hurdles, honestly. Every piece of constructive criticism, I took it and was like, okay, well, that little piece is going to get me closer to the prize.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun with all of the girls. I had never gone to like a summer camp or anything where it was just like a bunch of girls. So that was like a summer camp experience for me. So I had fun with all of the girls, didn't have
That's
a problem
awesome.
with anyone. I think the only hurdle really is constantly being faced with, am I gonna go home? Like, I don't know, I'm doing my best, but could possibly go home. And, you know, I was third place on the show, which I'm, you know, really grateful that I was able to be on it that long. But I didn't necessarily have any like internal issues with like the cameras and the women, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like a fun ass experience. And can I say ass?
Yeah, for sure, of course. Just 100% be yourself. So then my question for that is, how did you do with the pressure? Because to get to third place, there's an extraordinary amount of pressure. And by the fourth season, they're pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. How was it dealing with that pressure, and how did you get to the other side?
Yeah, I mean, the pressure wasn't even from the show, it was from me,
Oh, for
because
sure.
you know, I used to get goosebumps when the show would come on when I watched it before, and I used to just tell myself, I can do this. I'm very competitive, like in a healthy way, but very, very competitive. And so I thought, like, I can do this. And so the pressure that I felt was from me
Mm-hmm.
saying, you're going to win. You have to win. This is what you
Yeah.
do. This is what you want to do. This is your dream. So that was where the pressure came from. And I dealt with it by just being incredibly focused,
Mm-hmm.
not getting caught up in trying to be dramatic or like trying to be memorable or trying to, you know, trying not to be myself and trying to be this way or that way, you
Yeah.
know. It was just to like be focused, learn as much as I could to get to the next elimination.
Wow. From what I took out of that was really great positive self-talk. It's not like you've got to do this or you're worthless. It's you can do this, you've got this, you're gonna
Yeah.
win first place.
Yeah.
That is huge. The way that you talk to yourself is so important. So
No, seriously. Yeah.
I love the
Yourself.
way that you approach that.
Thank you. Thank you. But also, I'm also talking to you about it as a person who focuses on my self-talk. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my mentality maybe my at the time I was 19, you know, maybe at the time I wasn't saying let's be positive. I think that I just wanted it so badly that it forced me to only be more positive and just stay focused. Like, you got
Yeah.
it. Okay, you made it through another elimination. You got it. Just keep doing the same thing. Like, so there was definitely a level of positive self-talk, but now that, you know, as you get older, you get to know yourself more.
Yeah.
And if you are doing like the inner work or the shadow work on yourself, you realize certain characteristics, or you start to develop certain traits that you know are going to work for you. And
Mm-hmm.
positive self-talk is the top of the list for me. Meditation and like I'll do positive affirmations every single day.
Yeah.
Positive affirmations, you know what I mean? But definitely for anything that you want to do in life, you have to think positive. Of course, there's going to be like a little bit of fear, but
Mm-hmm.
in order to get past that fear, or laziness, because I recently heard a quote saying that people like to blame people not doing things on fear, like, oh, there's just fear. No, there's
Yeah.
also an element of laziness. So to get through both of those things, you have to positively tell yourself, like, hey, I can do this. This is a
Yeah.
dream of mine. I can do this.
Yeah. I 100%, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. So how scary was it actually making that jump? Now, because you were on the show, you did amazing on it. You got third place, which is you know way better than most, right? Then you finished it, and then you had to actually go and decide, this is what I'm going to pursue. How scary, or how did you know that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in full-fledged, head first, eyes closed. How did you make that jump?
Another excellent question. I really had to like make that jump. For me, it was not just like making the jump career wise. I had to move. I moved from LA to New York. So after the show, I figured New York is the fashion capital of the world. I have to now move to New York. And I just didn't even think twice. I listened to my intuition as well. I really strongly believe in like source or God, the universe, like telling you, whispering little things to you. And if you can get quiet down your mind enough to really listen to those things, you're being guided, and things work out for you. So I made the choice. I left college. I went to UC Riverside and had a full scholarship. I would have been a doctor had I not done the show. And I just decided I can always do school. I'll go back to school later if I want to, but this is my dream. Models, you can't model forever. So let me move to New York and just give it my absolute best, because I didn't have any help from Tyra or any producers or anyone on the show when I moved to New York. Now there were definitely some hurdles in New York. I was in Staten Island. I thought all New York was just New York. No, it was, moving to Staten Island, being in a house with like a model apartment house with tons of other like 16-year-old models. Now the differences in your body from 16 to 19, depending on the girl or the guy, can be very, very different. So I was very slim, but the 16-year-old girls that were in there were at their slimmest naturally. And so they were, booking tons of jobs and signing with agencies and doing all kinds of stuff. And I had to do a lot of work on my own to find my own lane and start really working. And so those were really the biggest hurdles. But I think just deciding, okay, I'm going to further my career as a model. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to make it happen. Those are decisions that you can make that really change your path. So that really helps, I think, with taking big leaps like that. It's like, just decide.
Yeah, no, for sure. So this is where I get really curious, because I love to understand the hustle and the hustle mentality of when somebody isn't getting the things that they want. How were you able to, like, what were the things that you started to do that let you stand apart from your competition in order to book the jobs and get where you wanted to be?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that the modeling industry is like very, very tough because, especially for, women of color. But it's, there's like all these boxes that you kind of have to fit into in terms of like marketing and the trend of certain kind of Black women get certain types of modeling jobs. Like, for example, for high fashion modeling, they really are only hiring foreign women of color. So like African women or women from an island or something. And they don't really typically book that many like Black American girls. And so even though I was the size and the height, it was hard for me to really get the jobs that I thought that I would be booking in the beginning. And then what really started to make things happen for me was to, for one, not give up, because so many times that I could have just stopped, and gone back to school. And so not giving up and finding representation finding an agency who really liked me, So many models, like, we go into agencies and we submit to them or apply for them, and our mindset is, I hope I'm good enough for this agency, but it really should be, is this agency good enough for me? Do they have the clients? Do they like me? Do they believe in me? Are they going to really try to make a career happen for me, or whatever the case may be. And so that was a huge part of it, was like finding modeling agencies that really liked me. And always working on my craft. No matter what you do, you can always study your craft and work on it and get better, like, always. So
so how do you know if an agency is prepared to work for you?
So first of all, because a lot of times you'll either submit online send the pictures. Once they call you in, you can just tell from the energy. You'll know if they say yes, for one.
Yeah.
And then also, just like the energy exchange. Sometimes agents try to be really intimidating, like they are better than, and it's this like
This
fashion
weird air
devil
persona.
wears Prada,
Yeah.
you know, like everyone's better than everyone else, and it's just this weird dynamic. But you know, finding agents who actually like look at you, take you in, and are willing to tell you the things that you need to improve on, whether you need more images for your portfolio, or maybe you do need to tone up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you know, you need to change your hair. And you know, make your look more edgy or more commercial or whatever it is. So those things are always helpful when looking for an agent.
Yeah, no, for sure. So this brings you to about 21, 22. What was the biggest moment of in your early stages that you're like, okay, I'm making it. This is it. This is definitely my calling. I'm getting the big time.
Walking in New York Fashion Week, walking in Paris Fashion Week, it happened again. It's like, wow, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I'm still walking in Paris Fashion Week, which is such a big deal. Also, sitting front row at the shows pretty early on, with no tickets or anything. Fashion Week used to be very different. It used to be at Bryant Park in the middle of New York City. And this is before technology came and you have to have like a QR code for your ticket or whatever. And so I remember one time going with a friend to a show to see if we could possibly stand or something. And so many of the staff recognized me, and they're like, no, like, we're taking her to the front row.
Oh, that's
and
so
I
awesome.
only sat in front rows after that. I was like, and that was my first experience trying to go to a show. So that also was, you know, that's what those kind of things kind of really made me realize, like, okay, I'm not just a model, you know what I mean? Like, I'm also like a fashion person who has influence, and I am that's when I really started realizing, like, wow, I'm really a household name. The show was like 18 years ago, but so many people still recognize me to this day, like just walking around, and it's so interesting. But definitely just like having access to certain things in fashion really made me realize, like, okay, I have a personality. I'm a personality.
Yeah, that's so amazing. You know, this ever since we were able to connect and know that you were going to be on this podcast, I've been so curious. What has been your favorite designer to work with, and what about them makes them your favorite?
That's a really, really good question. Let me think about this. You know, honestly, gosh, I've worked with so many designers. You probably wouldn't know their names, but there's some Parisian designers that I work with, and in Paris, they take fashion
To another
so
level.
It's just like, they don't do fast fashion there. It's like, if you're calling yourself a designer, you're making those clothes. When you wear their clothes, they're so much heavier. You can feel the quality in the fabrics that they're selecting, and just the construction. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely $3,000 for this t-shirt.
Yeah.
And so also just when in Paris in general, like, they just, when you go shopping, when you see people in Paris shopping, they're looking at the fabric. They're not just like, oh, this is cute. They're checking everything out. And so I think any designers that I've worked with in Paris, there's an atelier that I did an amazing couture campaign for. They gave me all the dresses.
Really?
Insane. Yeah, I had to get 3 extra suitcases to fit them in. They were like all of these neon tulle fabrics. If you go to my page, my Instagram page, you'll see it. But they were incredible. And I also thought, like, where else can I wear these clothes? Because they're more than red carpet, you know?
Oh, for sure.
And I wore one of them to Burning Man. And
really?
It was incredible. I got so many reactions from people wearing this neon orange, like, tulle cape that was massive. Really? So yeah, that to me was pretty cool.
For
working
sure.
with that designer.
For
Yeah.
sure. That's incredible. So again, I'm a sucker for fashion. I'm a sucker for stories. So I'm very curious, from your perspective, from being able to walk in Paris and walk in Milan, what are the contrasts between Milan and Paris, and what are the pros and cons of each?
I think the bigger contrast would not really be between the European countries
Mhm.
themselves. It would be between like Paris and New York.
Yeah.
It would be between, the States. Like, for example, LA Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week are completely different. It's so much more serious. It's a lot more, a lot of the really, really big designers are showing in New York. LA
Mhm.
Fashion Week is how do I say this without offending anyone? LA Fashion Week is like a baby version, it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit more safe. They use models of all shapes and sizes, which I think is an amazing, amazing thing. But maybe they use more inexperienced models. And so it's
Yeah.
easier for you to get into if you want to walk in a fashion week show. But yeah, it's a lot easier to get into a runway in LA. And so in Paris and in Milan, it's top tier.
Mhm.
Um, it's like I said, I think because the designers take the clothing so much, not that, I mean, there's, of course, obviously there are designers in New York who take fashion really, really seriously.
Mhm.
However, in Paris, there's a completely different feel. Like they'll do their shows instead of doing a runway coming straight down, they'll set it up in a space with all of these different rooms, and it's got all, the structured, I don't know what you call it, but like molding on the walls, and it's
Mhm.
like old and like regal, you feel like you're in another time, and the models walk through the rooms and around through the people, and so it's a completely different feel overseas.
Yeah. No,
Does
for
that make
sure.
sense?
It does. It 100% does. Because that was honestly my my assumption, especially when you even just take street fashion at its core, base level. When you see it, like Milan and Italian street fashion, you see Paris and their street fashion, and then you come over to New York, and you come over to the States and Canada. You're like, okay, we're a little behind. Okay,
Yeah, I think that in New York, the
depending on
time
where
of
you're
year,
at, yeah, it
depending on
makes a
where
big
you're
huge
at, like,
difference. Yeah,
but definitely, I agree. I
yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the essence of the culture, though.
Mhm.
Culturally, from the like, I was born in Ecuador, so culturally, one of the things that I was taught was you have to put your best foot forward anytime that you put an outfit together. So when you leave looking your absolute best. Period.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yeah.
that means your shoes, the way that you shine your shoes, the way that you put on your jacket, the way that, like, every aspect, every detail of what you're wearing matters.
Hmm.
And then I remember for the first time moving to Canada, and I was like, people are in sweats.
People are in sweats.
People are in sweats. And it's not like there's anything bad, especially now that athletic apparel is huge, and
Yeah.
you're basically the number
Athleisure.
one. Exactly. And it's great. But for me, it was definitely a culture shock just to see the way especially when kids were able to wear whatever they wanted to school, and I came from a uniform background. So, like, I
Mhm.
figured you have just a lot more higher fashion. You just be able to show up a little bit different because you're able to fully express yourself.
Yeah.
Where that wasn't the reality of that I experienced, at least.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. My mom was the same way. My mom is why I take my appearance so seriously when I go even just to the store. And I'm not like fully beating the face and doing the
Yeah.
whole thing, but I never even saw my mom in sneakers unless she was jogging. Like my mom is like, that's your representation, it's your reputation, it's your, so it has so much to do with your own identity and how other people identify with you, especially first impressions. It's everything. But I also, all the schools that I went to were all uniform schools. So yeah, so it's very interesting. Our only way to really express ourselves were through our shoes.
Interesting. So
Because we were able to wear other colors and stuff with our shoes.
So what were the shoes and styles of shoes that you would like to rock to express yourself during those school years?
Oh my gosh. So the Jordan ones were like amazing because they just look so clean. They had some patent leather ones. Like they had gorgeousness. The Jordan ones. Also at that time, shell toe Adidas. Because it goes with the white shirt all the time. Nobody's asked me this before. This is so funny. Timberlands for the guys, you know. These memories are flooding back. I remember I told my mom I wanted a pair of Timberlands, and bless my mom's heart, she got me a pair of Colorados, which were like fake Timberlands. I mean, it's a construction boot.
Yeah.
It's a construction boot. She figured out it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I got made fun of so badly. It was horrible. But also Nike Air Maxes, like a huge wave. Like that. This is the first, we're talking about the first times that like all these colorways and stuff became a thing. Now all of the Air Maxes and stuff that we see, this is like a regeneration of all of that. Like, I think in the 2000s, that's when these companies started realizing like, oh, this is a fashion thing too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not just a sport thing.
Yeah. It's not just a sport thing. Let's make some, that's just how I remember it. I could be wrong. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's so cool. So in your journey, I'm curious, what were some of the mistakes that you made that you're like, oh man, I cannot make that mistake again because it's going to cost me? What were some of those things, and what was like one or three of the biggest lessons that you learned while you were building your career?
Oh man. For one, always double check, triple check the time and location for things that are important for you to attend. I had an opportunity, not through an agency, but just through a friend, to do a like 15-page spread for Essence magazine. And I will never forget this. And there was a miscommunication about the date and time. I don't know where the miscommunication came from, but there was a miscommunication. And I woke up to all of these phone calls one morning, and they're like, where are you? I was living up in the Bronx and had to go down to Soho. Okay. And this was one of the first offers I had for a like magazine, like editorial. I'd already gone to the fitting and everything. And so by the time I got there, the editor of the magazine was like, we've already booked another girl. Like, this is such a big opportunity. Like, how dare you? I was crying. It was a whole thing, begging them. They're like, please let me do it still. Like, please, like, it's not my fault. I had to take the train from the Bronx, and I came as soon as, and they booked another model who was right down the street, and I didn't get the job.
Ooh.
And it wasn't even about the money. It wasn't even about the money. It was about the
opportunity.
The opportunity. And so, and even though it wasn't my fault, I should have double and triple checked, you know what I mean? Everything to make sure that was accurate. So yeah, that's important. Because you don't want to miss, once you miss an opportunity, it's gone. And if you're like me, an overthinking Virgo, that used to haunt me all the time. Like, oh, that one time that I messed up, my career could have been completely different, had I done that. So it's really important to just double check that stuff and be on time, be early. Early is on time. All that is really important. And then also, I think that if I were to like do this all over again, I would have been a little bit more focused in my earlier 20s.
How so?
Well, I moved there right after Top Model, and the show was like massive. And so I was getting invited to tons of events and red carpets, and I have partied with every celebrity you could imagine, and
Hmm.
was I think it it felt rewarding to rub shoulders with these people. That felt like it was a reward
Hmm.
for, and not even like doing the work. You know what I mean? It felt
Yeah.
like that was the reward when really the work should have been the reward.
Yeah.
Um, and that should have been my main focus. So I think that
Hmm.
I was, but I guess it happens in your 20s,
Yeah.
like, and in New York, the parties are top notch. So it was hard to say no. Yeah, it was hard to say no to events and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that I think to really stay focused and think about the relationships you're building with people. So instead of meeting or networking with people and you treating that person as if they can get you to the next level, I think that it would be better to think, okay, how am I going to honor this relationship? Is there anything
Yes.
that instead of me getting something all the time, is there anything that I can do to this person, or at least let this person know, hey, like, I can maybe do some things for you as well. Like, how can we
Hmm.
come together and really collaborate here? Or, you know what I mean?
I
Um,
do.
and just really also, if you're networking, really be on it. Cause I was going to age myself again. I was in a time where we had business cards, like actual business cards.
Yeah.
And I have stacks upon stacks, I still have them, of
Hmm.
business cards from really, really important people, like industry people.
Yeah.
And I never contacted any of them. Like I think also by the time I started really collecting a lot of business cards, that it was overwhelming.
Hmm.
And then you start forgetting who's who, even though it may be on their card. You forget the face, you forget the conversation, you forget the meetup, and there's no follow through. There's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of other things could have transpired had I really been on it, and like the next day, okay, contacting these people whose business cards that I have.
Yeah.
And so now we're in a time of just like Instagram is your website and you're getting people's Instagrams and stuff. It's once you miss an opportunity, it's gone.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, an overthinking Virgo, that used to haunt me all the time. Like, oh, that one time that I messed up, my career could have been
Hmm.
completely different, had I
Hmm.
done that. So it's really important to just double check that stuff and be on time, be early. Early is on time.
Hmm.
Um, all that is really important. And then also, um, I think that if I were to like do this all over again, I would have been a little bit more focused in my earlier 20s.
Okay. How so?
Well, I moved there right after Top Model, and the show was like massive. And so I was getting invited to tons of events and red carpets, and I have partied with every celebrity you could imagine, and
Hmm.
was I think it it felt rewarding to rub shoulders with these people. That felt like it was a reward
Hmm.
for, and not even like doing the work. Follow up with these people. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Again, build a relationship. So if you exchange Instagrams with people, I know how hard it is for me to find someone who I followed. A little hack is to DM the person immediately. Like when you meet
Hmm.
them, immediately, or that night, if you can remember, DM them. Start the relationship right away. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it can easily just become another person that you're just following.
Hmm. So then my
So
question to that
those are
is,
the things. Yeah.
yeah. So then my question to that is, how do you create a relationship in your eyes? What would be like some of the best steps to foster a relationship quickly?
Really great question. I think for one, these are little cheat codes.
Hmm.
Okay. So for one, flattery always helps, right?
Hmm.
Like, and you can flatter someone. Don't let it be fake,
Yeah.
like genuinely find something that you can say that you respect or admire about this person or their work. So when you
Hmm.
are going into the DMs, or text messaging someone or emailing someone. Say you can say something great about their work or just about the encounter. Like, man, it was really lovely meeting you. You had such great energy, and I'm really looking forward to us collaborating in the future. And then also include dates, set dates when you're saying, instead of saying, I want to collaborate with you in the future, hey, I'm free next week, Monday. Are you available for a 15-minute chat about our brainstorming session? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, set the things up, you know what I mean? Make it a reality, make it happen.
That is a great, people, you need to take that. Like, I hope that you wrote that down, because you need to take that to the bank, because it's honestly, it's the most beautiful thing ever. When you're able to set something up with the intention of seeing, how can I also be of service to you?
Yeah.
What an incredible piece of advice.
Yeah,
well done.
For sure.
Well
and
done.
I think, thank you. I think that, when you are always in a space, when you're mentally in a space of how can I help, it just leaves a really great mark on people. Sometimes I'll meet photographers, and instead of me saying, hey, can I get a free photo shoot from you? I'll say, hey, I absolutely love shooting. And if you need a muse, if you have a concept that you'd like to do, or if you just have any ideas or whatever, hit me up. Just like start the relationship, make it cool, make it personal, like instead of it being this super formal thing. I mean, there's a time and place for formal things to happen,
Exactly.
You're not going to be like that with a TV show producer, but
gotta read the room, read the room.
Read the room. But like, just think of the other person. They'll remember you for that.
Oh, for sure. So here's the thing. You've done so much. You've created an incredible business for yourself. You are an influencer, an Instagram influencer. You help people learn how to pose. And you teach people with everything that you do. So my question is, how have you learned to monetize this so that you can also make a living? And I understand that as a model, you have an agency and they help book jobs, but it's more than that. You've created something that is way deeper than just having an agency. So how have you learned to monetize, and what have been the aha moments for you to be like, okay, I got to make sure I do this again?
Now a word from our sponsors.
The most impactful leaders at some point doubt their own potential. You're no different. You're meant for greatness. So what do these thought leaders do differently? Mentorship. We all need help from someone who has gone before us and is able to believe in us when we don't, who refuse to have us play small. They challenge our excuses and inspire us to choose courage over cowardice, faith over fear, and trust over doubt. Decide on you. Decide on mentorship. Decide on impact leadership. Visit www.alphandomegastrategies.com.
Please make sure to check out alphandomegastrategies.com for all things growth and leadership. And at checkout, enter Perfit10, that is PERFIT 10, for an extra 10% off.
It all just kind of started with me realizing like that I know a lot about this one thing, which is the modeling industry. I know what the casting process is like, what kind of pictures you need, what kinds of things about your portfolio that agents are not really going to tell you, how you should be submitting to the agencies, the different types of body types and faces that they're looking for. Just from so many years of being in the industry, I just realized, wow, I know a lot about this. And I thought, well, there's no one out here to help models really get started. Tons of runway coaches, but no one really coming in like, this is what you need in your portfolio. This is your market, which is like the types of jobs you can book. This is how you believe in yourself. This is how you, don't take it personal when you don't get booked on your appearance, like all these things. And so I decided to do a workshop, and about 20 models came, and it's really scary when you're doing something for the first time, right?
Tell me about it.
first of all, how much do I charge for this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know this information, but like, how much is it worth? And then also, is anybody going to show up? Who's
Yes.
going to show up to this thing? Is anybody going to show up? Like, what's going on? And so, gradually after I did the first one, I realized, wow, there are a lot of models that don't know much about how to get started, and this is their real dream.
Mhm.
And then I started to really build even more on the curriculum each time you build, because they
For
ask more
sure.
questions and you're like, okay, this is another thing that I need to talk about.
Mhm.
And before you know it, COVID came. And then I decided, well, everybody's at home. Let's do this course via FaceTime. And so I turned it into a one-on-one course situation, which was the best decision I could have ever made, because it's a more intimate, personal conversation that you're having with each model. And I'm able to really dive in and help them with areas that need to be strengthened.
Mhm.
And so, when it comes to monetization, you really need to know your value and understand that you do actually have value that you are providing, even if no one has done it before. When I started my workshops, I had no clue if anyone, I Googled it and was looking it up, like pose coaches, and there was technically no one there, it didn't exist. So I felt like, okay, I'm really providing value to people, and helping people with something that it is not easy to find. And so then, obviously, as I add more curriculum, the price kind of goes up. And so it's super important for you to understand your value that you're offering and how much you really should be asking for that. By testing the field, testing the market, see how it goes. Really taking advantage of Instagram. Instagram is a new thing to me still. It's, when you think about, I'm 37 now. And so, it's a new thing in all of our worlds, really. And, really, taking the time out to offer that value on Instagram and let people know that, what your personality is even like, and really like connecting and engaging with these people. And obviously like building up a level of trust so that people know that you really do know what you're talking about, and so obviously with modeling agencies, that's already like a self-monetized thing. You book a job, you get paid. But for the coaching, it takes a lot of focus and attention, and me having to be creative with my reels and everything. But the biggest blessing really has been, because I've been modeling for 18 years, right? Was me realizing, wow, every single thing that I have gone through, every trial and tribulation wasn't for nothing. It is now, when I look back, like, I know a lot of stuff about this particular thing,
for sure.
And I mean, I can speak confidently on any aspect of the modeling industry, really. And so it's a huge blessing. So for anybody, if you know a lot about something, somebody will pay you to know what you know, and make it easier for them. So, I commend you, even if it's something like something that I need, that I don't have a green thumb. I need to repot all of my plants in my apartment. They're still in the original pot and they're dying. And there are people who know really well how to help me do it myself at home. And those people are monetizing off of something that's not, life-changing, but is helping somebody with something. So,
and it's needed.
It is needed.
And it's needed. No, for sure. That's absolutely amazing. So I'm curious, now that you're here, what does the next 6 months, year, 5 years look like for Keenyah?
I have been so incredibly focused on growth and reaching as many models, aspiring models as possible, that there's lots of things in the works. I've been doing collaborations with photographers all over the country to do digital photo shoots for models.
Okay.
Which digitals, you need your digitals, which are very like simple shots of you with no makeup on. You need those to submit to modeling agencies, and not a lot of models know this. And so that is becoming an empire of itself. I'm also learning how to take digitals myself. So I will be able to be the photographer for a lot of these models. I'm also, planning on doing some tours, like some other tours of like my modeling courses, where tons of girls, I would love to have tons of girls fly out to Miami, and we do a seminar where I teach you how to pose and like really take a deep dive into each model, and really tend to them and help structure their careers for them. Also, I would love to have my own studio, my own Find Your Light studio, where models can come together and do whatever test shoots they need, and they can network and meet with other makeup artists and photographers all within that space to further their careers. Because photographers need models as well. Makeup artists need models as well. We need each other. And so I want to come up with a space where we all can network and make magic happen. And I think that at some point in the future, maybe I'll have my own modeling agency.
I was actually going to ask that. Is that, in the works? Is that something that you can see yourself doing? And if so, what would that look like? What would Find Your Light modeling agency look like in a perfect world?
You know what? I'm glad you asked. It would look like a modeling agency that really feeds you, that really feeds your soul. Instead of you being chewed up and spit out in the modeling industry, this would be an agency where we help you build your confidence. We help you not compare yourself to other models. We help you thrive and flourish in the industry, in front of the camera. You know what I mean? Something where, because when you think about it, a lot of models start really, really young. And we can be damaged pretty badly in terms of our self-confidence and our own self-image when you are just thrown into the modeling world, going to castings, comparing yourself to other models, and or not really booking the jobs, or feeling that because you're not 5'11", size 0, that maybe you're not as beautiful. I would want all the models to feel as beautiful as they possibly could, and have, be a place where it's safe. It feels safe, and you feel taken care of at my agency, instead of feeling like, I don't know if they even like me,
So
it would be a family vibe.
My follow-up question would be, how do you produce an environment of safety?
Ooh, question. Great question. Because I do this every day when I start my courses with my models, with my clients. You, for one, obviously being relatable, being warm, being welcoming to your clients, or to anyone that you're dealing with, that's obviously going to create just a surface level of like safety and trust, right? And then also, for example, from a sales perspective, because I do free consultations, right? So I will do like a 20 to 30 minute consultation with each model for anyone who's interested in taking my online course. And in that call, not only do I have to let you know that I have the expertise to even
Mhm.
teach you anything, but also to like let you to be real and be vulnerable with you and let you know, I know what it feels like to not be so confident. I know what it feels like to have a dream that you don't know how to pursue. I know what
Yeah.
it feels like to compare yourself to other models. I know what it feels like to not know what's going to happen or if this is even a real possibility,
Yeah.
so just like keeping it real with people, I think will make them feel really safe.
That's an amazing answer.
You know?
Yeah, it really, from what I'm hearing, is that it really comes down to us to being courageous enough to share your own personal stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to show up as you are, be vulnerable, and be like, okay, hey, this is what I've experienced. I know what you've experienced and I know what you're going through because I've been through this for a long time. I've built up different methods and curriculums for myself so that I can now teach you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's absolutely amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I mean, I feel like it's especially in this industry.
Mhm.
It's some of the most beautiful people who are really insecure, or they just have specific insecurities that affect your overall decision making,
Mhm.
and so like if you don't fully believe that you can get into the modeling industry, or if you really think that you're not at the best body weight to
Mhm.
do modeling, that's going to affect your decision making. You're not going to wake up and submit to all the agencies.
Yeah.
You're not going to try to network or even like reach out and DM photographers or other models to even learn anything about the modeling industry if you don't fully believe it and give yourself that push. And
Mhm.
so it's imperative for me to make sure that my models feel really good about themselves, and I tell them all about the power of positive self-talk,
Mhm.
like every single one of them. The entire course is really a confidence boost. I'm one of those
Mhm.
people that I do not hold back from giving compliments to people, even random people at the grocery store. If I can say something that's going to
Mhm.
brighten up your day, I'm going to say it. And
I'm the
so,
same
especially when
way.
it comes to, like some people,
Mhm.
like especially women, unfortunately, they hold back. They see another beautiful girl, like, I'm not going to tell her. I'm going to act like she doesn't exist.
Mhm.
And it's so much to me. It's healthier to express those things and let people know, hey, this is where you shine. You're really great with this, or you're so funny, or your teeth are gorgeous, or your
Yeah.
eyes sparkle when you're talking about this. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I do.
I think as humans, we really love to feel appreciated
Mhm.
and to be recognized for certain things. And so anyone who takes my course, you leave feeling like $1,000,000. It's
Mhm.
like, you're rediscovering yourself and how people perceive you.
That's amazing. As a follow-up question for that is, what is your biggest success story of one of the models that you have worked with?
Oh, wow. One of the models that I've gotten like signed to a modeling
Yeah,
agency.
yeah, that you've taught.
Yeah, for sure. So, I have a lot actually. I've signed tons of models. But I think that one really cool one is just like one of my models. A lot of them get to walk in Fashion Week shows for the first
Mhm.
time. And that to them before taking my course was like a very far away dream,
Yeah.
or like not even possible for their body type. So I have like a curve or like plus size model who
Mhm.
she just, before she took the course, she just kind of dabbled in it and just she was curious, but had never done anything about modeling at all. By the time we were done with our course, she ended up walking in New York Fashion Week.
Wow.
I'm actually going to LA in a few weeks to see 3 of my girls walk in LA Fashion Week.
Ooh.
And I mean, their stories are still being told. They're
Written. Yeah.
are still unfolding rather.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting, but they've gotten, magazine publications and trips and deals to go overseas, commercials. Movies. It's so interesting, honestly. Also, this is like a little side note because I'm a little spiritual girl. But what this is something that is so, so true, and this applies to anyone. The law of attraction is so freaking real. The universe really helps anyone who takes small action steps towards what they want, even if it's just a tiny little step. And so I've had models who will sometimes, take my course and immediately after they're done, have agencies contact them. And they've been trying to get into modeling for years.
Yeah.
And so it's just taking a little slight action step can really start things off. And so most models who take the course, they just end up really thriving, especially after I give them all the advice on what to do.
That's so amazing. Absolutely fantastic. I like the fact that you not only give them information, but you help build them up to become the best version of themselves. Absolutely fantastic. So before we come to a close, because I know we don't have too much time, I want to delve in deeper into what advice would you give yourself now that you know what you know? Let's do three versions. Let's do the 19-year-old version that just got started, the 25-year-old version that's in the mid, and yourself, right, in your future self in
to who I am right now,
30,
maybe?
40. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So maybe to my 19-year-old self who just started, maybe who I guess just finished America's Next Top Model, right?
Yeah.
Before I moved to New York, I would say to her, go to where you are appreciated. Okay. So whether it's modeling agencies or friends that you're hanging out with or men that you're dating, go where you are appreciated. Don't try to just fit in with everyone.
That's huge.
Right?
That's
like,
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wreck ourselves simply by trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's massive. That's an
Yeah.
incredible piece of advice.
Yeah. And knowing your worth, you know what I mean? When you know your worth, you're not trying as hard to you're not seeking external validation, to my 25-year-old self, I would say, gosh, I've never been asked this one about 25. I would say, see, it's so funny when people ask these questions, you can either come back and say something really loving, or you can come back because, you hear people say like, oh, I would tell her you're amazing. And like, you got this. But no, we're going to keep it real.
Yes, please.
I would tell her, girl, focus. What is the end game here? Can't possibly be just to be rubbing shoulders at events. Think big, think bigger, think global, think legacy. What are you leaving behind? And also to not care as much what other people think about you.
Yeah. Dream big, thing, right? Dream big and don't care about what other people think. That's huge. Because everybody has a different perspective of you, right? Yeah. Your mom has a different perspective of you. Your brother has a different perspective of you. And they know you intimately, right? They know you inside and out, yet they still don't see you the same. And that's freedom.
Isn't it trippy?
Oh yeah. And there's so much freedom in that. It's like, okay, well, if everybody has a different perception of me, then that means the only thing that I have control over is me. Yeah. I just got to be able to walk in the world as I am, and whatever people see is what they see through the lens of their own experiences.
Yeah, no, seriously. The only opinion that actually matters is your own opinion of yourself.
Big time.
How do you feel about yourself? Like, really, how do you feel about yourself? Do you feel like you're doing your best? Do you feel like you want to lose weight or tone up and you're not making the conscious decision to go work out? Or are you just sitting with the idea that I want to lose weight and I'm not doing anything about it? It has nothing to do with what other people think and say. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about, so basically being self-affirming. And I think this is a big thing. This is a huge, because I'm also like into astrology or whatever. It's a Virgo thing. It's a Virgo thing to be very, very hard on yourself, and to be like just super critical of the things that you're doing, and like get validation from other people, or like ask other opinions. If you're indecisive, get another, like, no, let's be self-affirmed in what we want and our own vision. It'll make you happy at the end of the day.
For sure. 100%.
Right? And then my future self to myself right now, she would be saying, girl, you have made it. You've got millions in the bank, millions in the bank. You've changed so many lives. You are a road blazer and a pioneer. I'm grabbing my ring light right now. That's why my arms are up. Okay, this is me.
Yeah.
Grabbing myself. And to keep going. You're doing so well. You've grown so much. Keep going. Wait until you see what is here waiting for you.
Yeah. You're just getting started.
You're just getting started.
You're just getting started. Keenyah, this has been an absolutely amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is it's light. It brings light to my heart. It brings a warmth, and I'm in awe of your energy and your presence. So thank you so much. It's been absolutely magnificent.
Thank you. I've loved it. These questions, man, really, really good questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Definitely just want to let anyone know, if there are any aspiring models watching, right? My Instagram is at Keenyah.Hill, and you can just DM me for a free consultation, and I will call you. I will hit you up and see what your goals are and tell you about the course.
I was just going to ask you, and don't forget your website, please plug that in.
Yes, it's findyourlighttoday.com. Sorry, did I do your job there?
No, not at all. You did perfect. Everything that you've done today has been amazing. So no worries. Before we leave, one last thing. What would be the one book that you say, make sure you go out and read?
Wow. I would say a couple of them. One, I would say Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. They talk about like the 22 emotions that we have and how to vibrate really high. And they really teach you how to pay attention to how to be aware of your thoughts, and which ultimately affects your vibration and what you attract into your life. So it has changed my life, that book. It's phenomenal if you want to manifest things into your life. You know what? I'm going to leave it at that one. That one is That's really perfect. Good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, in that case, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll let you get back to your life.
Nice.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to Geppe's Pod, and make sure to like and subscribe and tell us what you thought of our guests and this podcast. From all of us here at Perfit, see you next time.